Today we are going to get you on your way to learning how to play and master Alter in Apex Legends. Alter provides one of the most unique kits in the game between team play, aggressive playmaking, and fast-paced action. We've got gameplay examples, tons of tips and tricks, and we will be ranking her in the meta, so let's get to it. We begin with the simplest part of her kit, but honestly one of the stronger parts, and it is her passive ability, Gift from the Rift. This allows Alter to loot one item remotely from each death box within a 75-meter max range. You can't take armor, so you will not be able to do some OP armor swapping, but being able to quickly grab batteries, purple mag, or a stack of ammo cannot be overstated as to how useful this is. My personal and recommended order of what items you should be grabbing is going to be batteries or medkits, then ammo as needed, and then any additional attachments. I find this ability is very easy to do some impulse looting, so try to control yourself when you are looting and don't just waste the loot pull if no one is around. Speaking of who is around, the passive is more powerful than just simple looting. It does allow you to officially tell when enemy teams are done fighting, and it helps give you a trigger as to when to third party or clean up a fight. This is because as you approach an area, if you see 3 death boxes pop at once, this means a team did just die. The last thing to really know with her passive is that the icons on the death boxes will go away once you go into and out of that death box. This icon disappears whether you take an item or if you do just back out of it without taking anything. This is massively useful to help you track which death boxes you have already investigated. Before we move on to her tactical, let's talk about why you'd want to play Alter and what her role in the squad is, because if you can't understand and grasp this fundamental knowledge, then your gameplay could and most likely will be effective. So for one, her role in the team, she is honestly one of a kind, and she fits a completely unique type of gameplay that mixes together both tactical aggressive playmaking with her tactical ability and a mix of team coordination and anchoring power via her ultimate recall ability. These two types of play kind of contradict one another, so I primarily consider her to be an 80% fragger and a 20% or so support-esque type legend. She does have many similarities to Wraith and Wraith's ultimate portal for team transportation and Wraith's tactical for playmaking. Alright, so buckle up as there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Alter's tactical and ultimate abilities. Alter's tactical is Void Passage, which is a two-way quick portal she can place on surfaces to allow herself and anyone else who comes in contact with it to travel through that surface. The maximum depth of objects that the portal can go through is around 20 meters, and it can be placed up to 45 meters away. Because of these limitations, you can't necessarily travel through large mountains or other huge terrain obstacles. The first tip to know is that sometimes the coding is a little weird, and you can sometimes place the ability on what appears to be an endless obstacle, but actually the rift will allow you to go through that side of an object and pop up on top. So always be on the lookout for creative ways to travel, and a big thing to know with Alter is that you need to constantly be learning the map and your surroundings and where that tactical is going to be most effective. In addition to traditional through wall transportation, this ability is an excellent vertical transportation ability, probably one of the best in the game. You can simply put Alter's tactical on any horizontal flat surface, and a phase-like zip line will be placed down from that point all the way to the ground under it. Remember that you can place the ability up to 45 meters away, which means you can have extreme vertical movement. This is great if your team is forced to ultimate low ground, or if you are in need of a quick way back to height. I'll mention that even though you can go extreme distances, sometimes it's going to be the smaller distance vertical traveling that will be most useful. Quickly rotating past an obstacle, getting height on a small building, or just speeding up your pace of play cannot be overstated. And when you are placing the tactical down around you, if you look closely, you will see a little arrow that will indicate which direction the travel is going to go. We will talk more about upgrades later, but once you get this tactical down to a quick 15 or so second recast, this is really going to open up your options to constantly be on the move. Creativity is again going to be key. Sometimes getting the smallest horizontal ledge to vertically transport your team can be massive. This could be a lamppost, a small cliff, or any other object. Always be on the lookout for some new and exciting ways to transport your team around the map. Combat with the tactical is a little bit more tricky since yourself and enemies can both use the rift. During transportation, enemies are going to appear in red, which is helpful, but they can fairly easily tell where you are going to come out, and they will be lined up on you. If at all possible, you want to use the rift when enemies are not looking in your direction to allow you to quickly rift in, get shots on an enemy, and then continue to fight or retreat back through that rift. You can go through the tactical as many times as you please, and there is only a 1 second or so timer that you will need to wait before before using it again, which is honestly a pretty lenient amount of time. When you place the tactical, you can see where the exit is going to be via a blue glow, which can be helpful if you are not quite sure where that exit is going to be. If you are doing a vertical transportation via that glowing zip line, you can hold crouch, and right as you are about to exit that rift, you tap jump and you will get a big boost upwards, allowing you to pop shot enemies and then fall back through the tactical to your low ground or stay up on top and make a play. If you can't get the timing down, just hold crouch and spam jump to get this to happen. And since we are talking about quick shots on enemies through Altar's Rift, the weaponry you use is very important. If you are trying to play more cloak and dagger like, using weapons like a shotgun is going to be huge. This allows you to teleport through a wall, pop fire a PK or a couple massive shots, and then retreat as the enemy turns to fight you. You can then repeat this action over and over, making yourself a pretty overpowered movement legend. When fighting in and around doors, and if an enemy is door camping with you, you can clearly teleport through the door or adjacent wall to make a play on that enemy. However, if you are getting chased and the specific area allows it, drop the tactical at the base of a door and then camp on the other side of it. This prevents the enemy from sitting on the door with you, and it can greatly open your options for that specific engagement. Also, sometimes making a play such as dropping the tactical onto a wall and not even using it can be a good way to take enemies out and confuse them, as they will most of the time expect you to use the ability that you did just place down. Let's briefly talk about Altar's upgrades. Both right side upgrades increase the effectiveness of her tactical, and both left side upgrades make her ultimate a little bit more formidable. Personally, most of the upgrades I do not think really matter. However, the second right side upgrade of reducing the tactical cooldown by 10 seconds is pretty huge. This is a flat 33% reduction in the cooldown. This means just a 20-second cooldown instead of 30 seconds, meaning only 5 seconds of downtime instead of 15. Definitely massive. You can also pair this up with a gold helmet, more or less giving Altar infinite tactical abilities with no cooldown once the previous rift does go away. Naturally, using this tactical to make aggressive plays is important, but also using it to make quick escapes cannot be overstated. You can literally vanish through objects in an instant, and this will make yourself pretty elusive, making her an extremely great getaway legend. Since we are talking about getting away, let's pivot to Altar's ultimate ability, the Void Nexus, which is also great for getting away and resetting engagements. This ultimate is more or less a point Altar can throw on the ground to allow her team to retreat to at any given moment. This point lasts for 2 minutes, and the ultimate itself has a 3-minute and 30-second timer, which can be reduced by 30 seconds via Altar's first level 2 upgrade on the left side. Personally, I don't think 30 seconds is that big of a deal, and I'd rather see enemies' health bars when exiting the tactical rifts. The range at which the ultimate can be used is about 200 meters, which is very far. As much farther than this is just not necessary. If all doors are closed in a building, no problem. The ability still will work, as it will transport you through walls, ceilings, and other closed off areas. You can tell when your team is in range by the purple circle on the map, and also if you look at the center of the ability to activate it, you will get an indicator stating to use this ability if you are in range. If you are out of range, this option is not going to pop up. So yes, if it wasn't clear, anyone on your team can use the ability really at any time. And this even includes when friendlies are knocked, which is where the power, in my opinion, really lies. This allows Altar to place the rift down prior to making a push play, and then if 2 teammates get separated and one does get knocked, the squad can all use this ultimate, retreating and then regrouping in an instant, allowing you to then revive those friendlies. Also, if a friendly gets knocked while you are making a play, you can place the ultimate down, and then a friendly teammate can come to you very quickly. This second method has its advantages. The only problem is that if you get knocked as Altar, then you won't have any way to place and use that ability. Altar's second level 3 upgrade allows the ability to stay down for as long as you want till everyone on your team uses it. I find this to not really be necessary, as 2 minutes is already a pretty long time. Similar to the tactical, the gold helmet is also going to help you get this already pretty long timer down a little bit. However, if you are playing a slower ranked game and you want to keep the ultimate down while you are just fortifying up an area, this can be a pretty viable strategy. I just think the 10-second tactical reduction is way more worth it. If you do activate the ultimate, the big thing to know is that it does leave a small portal or rift on the ground that enemies can't chase you through with this activation. So keep this in mind. If you get knocked and you are retreating, the enemies that are nearby could and may follow you. Before we get to some gameplay examples, I do want to mention that team combinations for Altar are not necessarily that important, but since Altar has such great recall and reset capabilities, a support legend can be a pretty big deal for an additional layer of safety, especially in ranked. You can get away via Altar's ultimate ability and then craft the teammates' banners. Also, Caustic is a pretty huge deal since Altar's tactical tactical can go past any Watson fence or catalyst barrier door. Placing gas traps at the end of Altar's rift before you breach in can create a nice little safety net, and likewise, dropping a gas trap right on Altar's ultimate can be a pretty nice way, as you can get more safety when you retreat through the ultimate ability. Or do I dare say, you can bait enemies with this, drop gas traps on the ultimate, and then have an Altar or another friendly push up and use that recall right in front of enemies. If they chase you, you have gas protecting you, and your teammates can't get the drop on them if that enemy does decide to go through your rift. This won't work often, but it's absolutely worth a mention. When it comes to gameplay examples, there's a couple things I want to show that you shouldn't do and some that you should. For one right here, I put the tactical way too high. I was trying to go up to the roof, but I had bad awareness on the placement of the tactical. Always you got to keep in mind where the exit is going to most likely go. Second to this is I go up to the roof and then I accidentally re-step on my tactical, bringing myself back down. It worked out in this scenario because the enemy did drop down as well. This next example is a quick power rotation off the drop. I run straight into the middle room. I use the tactical to get into the center room. I shoot the guy in the back before he even understands what is happening to him. I then do the re-portal back through, shoot this guy in the back once again as they are looking at the doorway and they are clueless as to where I am. I do get the flank play on them. And for the next example, this is a coordinated 2-on-2 rank fight with my teammate. I simply drop behind and shoot these guys in the back, getting a good flank play on them in an instant, and then my teammate does push in and cleans up as well. As for where Altar is in the meta of Apex Legends, she is not necessarily overpowered, but she is absolutely a top 7 to 10 legend. It all depends on how you want to play with her. I think she's a fun pub stomping legend with some ranked viability, but in terms of tournaments, I don't think she is going to really be that useful. Be sure to drop a comment if you are still here. I appreciate the support. Hit that like button and check out this video for more on ways to improve your skills. Till next time, happy gaming, legends.